Welcome back to Speed Addicts Garage. On this episode, we're gonna do a few extra things to the 240 in preparation for the drag strip this Thursday. But before we dip into what we're gonna be doing to the 240 today, just an overview over the past few months. On one occasion, I was hitting boost down the street and the freaking freeze plug in the LS1 intake manifold popped out. At that particular moment, the car was idling like super high, like to the point where it was gonna bounce off the rev limiter. Luckily enough, I cut it off, coasted into the neighborhood, put a rag or something over like a shirt and was able to limp it home. After that, I found a good deal for a LS6 intake manifold on Facebook Marketplace. So I purchased it, installed it, and I couldn't be happier. The LS6 intake over the LS1 intake is only like maybe 30 horsepower. It's very minimal, but at least it's still an upgrade. When I swapped over my fuel rails, I didn't push the fuel rail down enough, leaving a little bit of a gap. And when I was hitting upwards of 70, 80 PSI, shot fuel all over the place, kind of oxidized my vacuum block. A little bit of it got on my intercooler piping, and then it also kind of distorted the color on my alternator. Besides that, I mean, the car has kind of been sitting in the garage. I mean, you can tell what I've been up to. I've been doing a little bit of body work to it. I haven't been able to do any more body work because I've been working on a few projects, like the one over in the corner. So what are we doing to the Nissan? A couple of my buddies have been having intercooler issues. One of my buddies went to the dyno, found out that his 3-inch intercooler was not adequate for the power that he wanted. Last week, we installed a bigger 4-inch thick Mishimoto radiator on my boy Saeed and my boy Saeed's LS turbo powered drift BMW. So I decided, you know what? I got an intercooler that's just been sitting around for 2 years. Let me see if I can slap it on and then see if it makes a difference at the track. So let me show you the intercooler that we got. Wow, check out the intercooler of choice. Y'all see what that says? That says snow. I have no clue why it's on there, but we're gonna flip it over and we're gonna use the other side. So overall dimensions on this intercooler is a whopping 3 feet in length. It is actually 13.5 inches in height. And most importantly, it is a 4-inch thick intercooler core. Yo, I'm trying to tell you, this thing is super heavy. It's super massive. We're gonna weigh it here in a second, but let me get the Nissan up in the lift, take the front bumper off so we can show you what kind of intercooler we have on the Nissan right now. Wow, so this is what we're working with. This is the intercooler I have been using probably for the past 10 years that this car has been in my possession. This was the intercooler I used when I had the RB25, when I did my boosted LS. I'm still using this intercooler. This particular intercooler is an eBay intercooler. Technically, it's rated for 600 horsepower. As you know from the dyno, the car is making more than that. So let me show you the dimensions real quick and then we're gonna get right into this. This particular intercooler is 31 inches. I already know that it's 12 inches. It's 12 inches in height, AKA 1 foot. This one is only 3 inches thick. I'm standing on top of this stool and look at the size difference between the two. This is what we're gonna use to check the weight. That's my weight, 166. Holding the intercooler, the smaller one, about 184. Holding the big one, 194, 195. So I suck at math. I mean, if I had to do this without a calculator, I'd be counting on my fingers. But I did my mathematication. I did my math. The smaller intercooler is 18 pounds. The bigger intercooler is 29, almost 30 pounds. So the bigger intercooler is an additional 11 pounds more than the smaller intercooler. Hey, I can get rid of 11 pounds somewhere. I ran to Home Depot, picked up some of this C-channel. Didn't even know this was available, but this is actually super duper nice that I was able to grab this because the flat stock they had was too thin where it would probably not hold this weight. And then the stuff that was too thick had some weight to it. This is kind of like an in-between because it's thick, but it's not heavy. And this is what we're gonna use. I've made the top part and the bottom one. So let's go ahead and fit it in that hole and see what we need to do to make the brackets. Wow, look how massive this intercooler is, dude. This is absolutely ridiculous. So all I gotta do now is see if that intercooler pipe fits and then see if I can make that one fit. Before I do any of that, might be a good idea to get these bugs out of the inside of this intercooler. Ta-da! It's all done. Intercooler fits. When I made my mounts, I didn't lock the lift, so the lift kept dropping. Because of that, the intercooler sits a little higher than I wanted. And because of that, it kind of somewhat touches the bumper right here. So I'm probably gonna have to end up redoing it or doing something, but it's gonna get us by till tomorrow. Intercooler piping worked, it's a success. And man, that joker is humongous. So there's one more thing I want to do to the 240 before we take it out tomorrow. I want to slap these back on the rear. This is what I had on the car before I put the coilovers on it. These are basically some K-Sport lowering springs with some KYB GR2 shocks. What I have on there now is like some drift spec coilovers. The rear suspension is super duper freaking tight. There is no compression on that thing, even when I turn it all the way soft. So we're gonna swap those out with these, and hopefully we'll have a successful 60 foot. So the suspension is swapped over, and this is what I have been running the last 2 times I went to the track. These are some ISR coilovers. They're ISRs, I got them from one of my drift buddies. And I mean, they're straight for the street. But obviously, this ain't meant for the track. And I know some of y'all like, man, why don't you get some IDS drag coilovers or something? Oh, my eyes messing with me. I thought I saw something, boy, like a ghost. But the reality is, man, I ain't got no IDS drag money right now, okay? So I'm just doing what a lot of people do, and that's what, I'm working with what I got. So what I do have is some lowering springs on some KYB shocks. If I can find some blown shocks, which I used to have, I might swap those out and put the lowering springs on that. But that's gonna be it. Next time you see me, I'm gonna be at the track.
The next day.
All right, fam, we made it out here to Alot. I'm gonna kind of walk around a little bit, and then when I get back to the car, I'll show you what I'm gonna try to attempt. The last time I was at Alot, I ended up lowering my tire pressure down to 17 PSI. That's what I'm gonna start with today. I'm gonna go back and look at my logs, figure out what I launched on. I think I launched at like 2800, maybe like 7 pounds of boost. Probably gonna duplicate that. Also, the last time I was doing a, let's see, what was it? I was doing a I was doing my eighth of mile hit based on like a timer. So I don't think I'm gonna do that no more. I think I'm gonna keep it the way it is now, which is basically boost by speed. And we're gonna go out and make a first hit and see what happens. Also, if you missed the video, last time I ran a 6.0, and that's without 100% throttle. So I'm gonna try to like really think about putting my foot all the way down, and let's go ahead and get suited up and line up. So we in the left lane, we got a car in the right lane, look like it's a newer Camaro, one of those like co-park, like junior drags. It's got like a wheelie bar on and everything, so I don't know, we're just here to have fun. So I'm gonna make that 2,800, 2,500, and then I'm gonna turn the boost down. I launched on 8, see if I can launch on like 5. All right, so instead of having my stop point for boost to be 8, stop at about 6, 7, roughly 7 pounds of boost or so. That one felt much better. It still spun, but it felt like I was able to drive through it. And that was no time, so I won't know what I ran until I get the slip. Let's see how much this thing weighs. Hey, y'all see that? 3342. Hey, she heavy. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, man. So I got my 60 foot back, my 1.5, but my eighth of mile and my mile an hour, I don't know about a mile an hour, but I know my eighth, I ran a 6.0 best. I did let off, but I don't know when I let off, so. But I think I might leave that tuned up in it. Maybe, yeah, let me look at the log. So I looked over the log. I was 100% throttle the whole time, which is a plus. It felt like it spun right when I took off, but it recovered. And then according to the data log, you know, my boost ramp, or my max boost, which is 17 pounds, didn't come into about 50, 60 miles an hour. I think it would take more earlier. So right around 40, 50 miles an hour, I basically took my dome pressure all the way to the max setting, which is equal to, not max on the ECU, but basically I'm gonna be trying to run 17 pounds of boost at like 50 miles an hour and see if we can at least get back close to the 60. It is hot today. Get back to the 6.0. It is hot. I'm gonna let this thing cool off and we'll go back out there. Dude, my hands are so freaking sweaty. All right, burnout time. So that time was a little bit better because I added boost in, still cut a 1.560 foot, and we ran a 6.3 instead of a 6.5, same mile an hour. I think I might add the boost in more, and I might add like another 3 pounds of dome on top, see what happens. So this is probably the last run of the day. Kyle wants to play around. The intercooler job came out as a success. Whether or not it lowers my intake temps or it increases horsepower, I guess we won't know until next time we put it on the dyno. And then the track was a success, even though I didn't get to run what I wanted to run, which is basically a 5 in the 8th. We got a lot of data. We found out that the softer spring setup might not be what we're looking for. The car was squatting quite a bit. It was doing a bunch of bouncing. Maybe I need to lower the tire pressure to get my 60 foot back into 1.4s. But overall, I had a good experience. Also, on that last run against Kyle, I turned the boost up. The car was doing a bunch of bucking. It was almost hitting some kind of brick wall. And later on through the logs, we found out that we lost fuel pressure. Fuel pressure dropped as low as 35 PSI at like close to 18 pounds of boost. Did we hurt the motor? I don't know. I don't think so. We end up fixing it in the next episode. And hey, just like always, if you need any of this kind of work in the triangle, hit your boy up, Speed Ass Garage, I'm out.